The countdown begins. Results of India's Lok Sabha elections will be out in a few hours from now. Will the incumbent BJP return to power as predicted by the exit polls, or will there be surprises in store tomorrow? Election Commission rejects the opposition's demands on VVPATs yet again. The parties wanted 100% verification in case of discrepancies. The BJP calls the opposition's position on electronic voting machines desperate. The Home Ministry alerts chief secretaries and police in all the states there are fears of eruption of violence on counting day. NCP Chief Sharad Pawar reaches out to regional parties like TRS and Biju Janata Dal. The UP is trying to rope in as many parties as it can ahead of the results. Chandrababu Naidu seems to be the man in charge to keep the regional parties together for another block. He travels to Bengaluru and meets with HD Kumaraswamy. The JDS had skipped the meeting of opposition leaders yesterday. Ahead of results, the BJP remains optimistic. The Congress not so much, it seems. Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot says the party will accept the results with quote-unquote humility. Hello and welcome to India Election Watch. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. Less than 12 hours to go after the bitter campaign, the 2-month-long campaign and a 7-phase election. We are counting down to result day. And even now, the row over electronic voting machines continues. That has to be the top headline. Today, the Election Commission rejected a demand from 22 opposition parties to make last-minute changes to the counting procedure. Leaders from 22 parties had approached the Commission yesterday. They wanted paper slips from VVPAT machines to be counted first. They were pushing for 100% counting of paper slips if there was any discrepancy. That request was denied by the Election Commission today. Tomorrow, counting will involve matching of more paper slips from 5 polling booths. They will be picked randomly from each assembly segment towards the end of the counting process. Now, this is something that the opposition parties have been pushing for throughout the election. They had moved the Supreme Court as well. In the first review petition, they had asked for 50% of the VVPAT slips to be verified. A bench led by the Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, had dismissed this petition. Later, a vacation bench of the Apex Court dismissed a writ petition. This one sought 100% counting of the VVPAT slips. This writ petition was filed by a group of technocrats. The opposition parties have raised some fresh charges against the EVMs. And they have also raised some reports that claim that EVMs are being changed in some strong rooms across the country. These are rooms where EVMs are kept. The Election Commission has issued a strong denial of all such reports. Back in April, the Supreme Court had raised the number of VVPAT slips to be verified from 1 to 5. Opposition parties led by Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu were not happy. They wanted 100% physical verification of each vote. Clearly, the Apex Court disagrees with that. The Election Commission says that physical verification of votes could lead to massive delays. Even if 50% VVPAT slips are counted, it would delay the results by 6 days. The opposition leaders in several states are keeping a hawk's eye on strong rooms. As I said, these are rooms where EVMs have been kept. For some reason, they're called strong rooms. Congress President Rahul Gandhi sent out a message to his party on Twitter. It said, and I'm quoting, "The next 24 hours are important. Be alert, be vigilant. Do not be afraid. You are fighting for the truth. Don't be disheartened by what the fake exit polls are propagating. Have faith in yourselves and the Congress. Your hard work will not be in vain. Jai Hind." More or less on the lines of what his sister said in her audio message, reports say that some opposition leaders are now camping outside these strong rooms. Congress candidate from Madhya Pradesh, Digvijay Singh, and his wife visited one such at the Central Jail in Bhopal. Reports say that some Congress workers in Uttar Pradesh sat outside EVM strong rooms in Meerut and Rai Bareli. One report also says that the Congress workers in Chandigarh have been sitting outside strong rooms since Monday. Technically, any party is entitled to this. Representatives of candidates can also inspect these machines once they're taken to the counting room and placed on a table. But clearly, they're not taking any chances. With me in the studio, our guests, Andrew Whitehead, writer and senior journalist. We have Lord Meghnad Desai, author and professor emeritus at the London School of Economics. We have Walter Anderson, former US official in the State Department, author and academician. And we have Professor Makarand Paranjpe, director, Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, with me here. Good evening and welcome to all of you. The EVM row, I have a feeling it will not die down even after the results are out.
I don't know. I think it's one of those issues which will have particular salience in this very strange period between exit polls and the count. I'm not surprised the Election Commission has refused to bow to the opposition demand. After all, this is the world's biggest election, 600 million people voting. You can't change the way that you approach the count with 24 hours notice. But I am quite struck by the strength of feeling among opposition parties. We saw it again with some messaging today from Congress leaders and other opposition party leaders. Having said that, I'd be rather more impressed if they'd been quite so loud in their concerns a little bit earlier in the election cycle. Some of these EVMs have been locked up in strong rooms since April the 11th for 6 weeks or a little bit more, and it's only really now that we're having this sort of mass chowkidar campaign. I suppose it keeps the party activists occupied through a really difficult time when the messaging, particularly for Congress, is really, really tricky. Yet again, in today's message, Rahul Gandhi did not say that we're going to win. He said, you know, your work will what was it? Your work will not go to waste. Well, again, that's a very strange message. But I mean, my suspicion is, unless there is a real problem with the tally between the VVPATs and the electronic voting, that this will die down quite quickly.
Makarand Paranjpe, this has become a bit of an emotional issue as well, with many saying that you're, in a way, disrespecting all the voters who came out. You are questioning the democratic process in the world's biggest democracy. Why do you think opposition parties are resorting to this now? Is this a betrayal of the fact that they feel that they are indeed losing and they need to keep their people galvanized?
Sheer desperation. They want to be in the limelight. They want to create some drama around their loss. But I think it shows they're really bad losers. You know, in school we were taught, you know, to play as hard as you can, but then shake hands with the guy who defeated you or the other side. And I don't think they're showing even the modicum of sportsman spirit that we expect even from our cricketers. You know, the politicians are really bad losers. But look at the lighter side of it. I saw a video on a national channel today where both the BJP and the Congress workers were guarding a strong room. And to pass the time, they were playing Antakshari. You know, and the song that they played is Nana Karte Pyar Tumhi Se Kar Baithe. You know, so it's like, it's a subtle message that, look, we are all in the same boat, as it were, whether we are BJP, RSS. And it's also a very interesting flip, how after, you know, Chowkidar Chor Hai, now the opposition has become the chowkidar. Yeah. And the PM and all his other, you know, followers are relaxing and, you know, meditating or confabulating. And the other people have all become chowkidars. So I think we have to take it in a lighter spirit and enjoy it, you know. And it's only till tomorrow we have to wait in any case. So all this drama is just a part of the overall fun that is a part of the Indian elections. And I'm sure that most people, once the results are out, they'll say, oh, we respect the people's verdict, you know. I think they
accept it with humility. I know those lines by heart.
Exactly, that standard line. I expect that to happen tomorrow, once, you know, the results really come out.
Right. You said that politicians can be sore losers. We were looking at pictures from Jakarta today. Indonesia went to the polls recently, and the opposition is not ready to accept the result as it has come out. Joko Widodo has once again won this election. Do you believe that what is happening with the Home Ministry also sending out messages that there could be violence? This is going to be the dirtiest election that India has seen in very many ways.
In many ways, it's been dirty in terms of the charges that have been thrown back and forth. But to get back to whether or not this sense of loss is going to continue, it may. I think now of the American example where, you know, Hillary Clinton for the last several months has been using every forum possible to say, I didn't really lose the election, the Russians stole it from me, that sort of thing. And I think what lies behind the persistence of this kind of argument is a sense that what happened wasn't supposed to happen. I think there was a genuine feeling among the Congress and others that they would do much better than apparently they've done. And what triggered it was the exit polling, which indicated that they hadn't done that well. And I think there was a shock in the system. And if in fact, if the vote tomorrow tends to substantiate the exit polls, I think there's going to be a continuation of explaining why we did so badly within the party. And how long that goes, I don't know. A lot depends on whether the press, takes up on their arguments and it becomes part of the dialogue of politics, what the leaders say. That's why I'd be curious to see how the leaders react to all this. Will they drop this or not? I don't know. I'm somewhat skeptical. Maybe I'm speaking from the American example where the losers of the last election haven't dropped it. In fact, it's still a very live and emotional issue in the U.S., and it might be here as well.
Indeed, and I don't think it's just the Congress party that's shocked. We've been speaking to people when these exit poll numbers came in various newsrooms, wherever they put out these figures. Most of the people said this can't be, and let's shave off some of those numbers and let's balance this a bit. So the numbers probably were much higher than what have been projected. But to say that EVMs don't work, and this happens after every election, this time more so than any other time, do you believe that there is really an alternative that India can resort to?
What it is that they're in denial. They never ever thought that BJP would become a permanent part of the ruling sort of government. And the defeat in 2004 gave them a lot of courage. The old secular, tolerant, etc. is back. It'll always be back because it represents India. And they didn't prepare, they didn't organize, they didn't fight a decent election. They believed their own propaganda. There was this massive unemployment and the farmers' distress, and all those things are going on. And of course, the caste equation. So BJP couldn't possibly win, was their conclusion. And I think they really deluded themselves. And then when exit polls came out, they were completely shocked. And they said, it cannot be because of real thing. It must be somebody is manipulating the machines. I mean, that's just one more excuse to continue being in denial, which I think tomorrow it'll get sorted out. And if NDA BJP gets 40% of the vote share, as some people show, it would be extraordinary result.
My fear is that it will not be put to rest tomorrow. It's one of those things like the Balakot strikes or the Rafale scam. Either you believe there is a scam or you believe there isn't. The facts in the case, the arguments, logical arguments do not matter. One side can put up 10 experts who say that EVMs cannot be tampered with, and the other side will put 15 who say that...
I'm not sure that that's right. I think there is a balance of opinion that EVMs are fairly reliable. But I think what has given impetus to the opposition's campaign, and it now really is now a campaign, is that the Election Commission is divided. It's publicly divided, and it's quite bitterly divided. Now, it's not divided on the issue of EVMs and their reliability, but nevertheless, the sense that somebody within the Election Commission thinks basically that the Chief Election Commissioner is a little bit partisan and not very collegiate in style, clearly erodes political confidence in the neutrality of the Election Commission. And I think that's one of the things that we're seeing in the way in which the opposition parties are responding.
Is this then the biggest crisis that electoral democracy has seen in India? 11 million people were involved in this exercise, and yet there's a question mark on the fairness of it.
No, I don't think so. I think the crisis is a kind of civil war in India among the culture-determining group, the elite or the intelligentsia, who, because of their own echo chambers or whatever, will never accept. It's become a theology. Anti-Modi has become a theology. They will never accept it, regardless of the evidence to the contrary. But I don't think the reliability of the EVMs is really an issue. I think this is drama. But just to play the devil's advocate, imagine what would happen if tomorrow, God forbid, but the polls are actually belied and that Congress does much better. It's going to give them the biggest possible boost, saying, we always told you, we knew, that the people were with us, and you lied, you are crooks. So what I'm trying to say, there is an unforgiving denial on the one hand, a theology, a theological hatred almost, but there's also this sort of, you might call it an irrational belief in an expired idea of India, you know, which is going to make people sort of exiles in their own land, you know, completely beleaguered and, you know, under siege and walking around looking, you know, so displaced out of Lutyens' Delhi, saying that, oh gosh, you know, ye shahar, you know, the beautiful song, you
yes.
know, it looks like I've turned into an alien in my own land.
Right. Interestingly, you mentioned, you compared this with the US election, and in this day and age, election meddling is a real issue, given how many people are on social media, given our reliance on technology. What do you think that whichever government comes to power now should do to put such concerns to rest?
Well, I think the winners have to be generous in both their comments. They can't, you know, continue with these very nasty comments about the other side, as was the case during the campaign. And I would think that the losers have to be generous as well. You have to have some kind of reconciliation. Though I'm with you, maybe it's my American experience, I'm a little skeptical about whether or not this is going to happen, because the losers, in effect, backed by many of India's intellectuals, are arguing that this is somewhat an illegitimate government, that there's a certain illegitimacy about all of this. And this incident kind of proves, in a sense, or substantiates the illegitimacy of the government. They'll do anything to stay in power illegitimately. So I don't think it's going to sort of die down. It may, you know, the furor may be a bit less, but it will change when an event, like in the US, when something happens that grabs the public attention, it goes up again. I have a feeling that is going to happen.
If Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, it looks like the BJP is going to get 50% more votes than Congress. Congress is probably going to be in something like...
in the 30s.
Yeah, it's going to be something 20% to 30% or something like that. So it's not even close. No. And I think when we get the results, if they are even broadly in line with the trends that the exit polls indicate, Congress will have to shut up about this, because there's no way in which you know, issues about the EVM or alleged tampering is going to determine the outcome.
Yeah, I hope you're right, but the fact is, in an election this huge, with so many people involved, as you said, there are going to be some problems. And I think they picked out a couple here. There's one here, one over there. There was a truck that went without the required guide on it. You're going to find that. And that's going to be, you know, advertised and blown up as an indication of a general trend. It's not a general trend, but in fact, it's going to be portrayed as one.
See, I think,
as someone said, BJP started organizing for 2019 the day after they won 2014. Amit Shah started organizing.
Oh, I heard that they said prepare for 2024. 2019 is in the bag anyway.
No, I mean 2014, 2019. And the interesting thing about Congress is they seriously thought that putting on Priyanka Gandhi was a great weapon, not realizing that the world has changed. You know, it doesn't make any kind of impact to have Priyanka Gandhi going down the Ganga like Cleopatra in a boat, you know, waving at people. Well, thank you very much, you know. The world is no longer like that. So I think they have to learn a lot. If they are going to recover by 2024, they'll have to learn much more.
I think not making her contest was not
this is not going to be much better than 44.
It looked like a half-hearted plunge.
My point is, going back to the earlier, you know, issue, there'll be a disgruntled group of people, I would even call them a disgruntled minority, who will never accept Modi, who will never accept the people's verdict, who will never accept, you know, the fairness of the electoral process or even the EVMs. They will keep finding reasons to keep, you know, questioning the legitimacy of this government. That's why I said, "Is shahar mein har shakhs pareshan sa kyun hai?"
Right.
Because, you know, once you lose that bastion, your, you know, shining city on the hill, Raisina Hill, they are never going to join. But that doesn't mean that, you know, that this government is going to stop doing what it does, or that the people are not going to support them. But this group will continue to, you know, keep puncturing wherever possible. And even with Balakot, they'll always say, look, it's fake. which Balakot? Is it this side of the border or that side of the border? So that will keep happening, I feel.
We will discuss that in detail. Also,
Okay.
how the world press is covering this and the kind of comments coming in.